Be careful of what your kids are watching on YouTube Kids. Sometimes things sneak through the cracks. Thread. I have a little cousin who loves Peppa Pig. Halloween was 2 months ago, and she dressed up as Peppa Pig. I gave her an iPad. Of course, I don't only use the iPad to raise her. We watch her favorite show, we do her little princess games. When she uses the iPad for YouTube Kids or Google, which she mostly never used, I use it with her. I do this so that there's no way any weird or wrong material gets shown on her screen. Unfortunately, she managed to sneak the iPad into her room while I wasn't looking. The video showed on her screen was some weird, fucked up, cryptic Peppa Pig horror video. The below Google Doc is a description of the video, as I can't find it anymore. I hope to find this video and use it as an example to show how YouTube Kids has cracks that need to be fixed. I was cooking some spaghetti in the kitchen for supper. I was making supper and I told her not to interfere as I didn't want to accidentally make a cooking mistake. She left, and I said bye to her as she left. My aunt and uncle-in-law had left me to take care of my little cousin while they were away on a business trip. I happily said yes, and now I'm making the thing that I know how to cook best. Just as a clarification, I've heard stories about messed up shit sneaking its way through YouTube Kids. It's only Google and YouTube Kids I guard for that reason. Google because Google pulls anything from the web to show you what you typed. I didn't want her seeing gore by rambling nonsense into the tablet, and I let her play the silly little games on her iPad that I installed whenever she wanted, as those games were not of my worries. I had left Peppa Pig on the TV while I cooked. She would randomly come to me and go back to the Peppa randomly throughout the night. Right when I was finished the sketty, I heard her door slam open and fast footsteps running in my direction. She quickly apologized for having used YouTube Kids on the iPad, and I sternly reminded her not to use it while I wasn't able to see what popped up. After she said she wouldn't do it again, she handed me her iPad and said, "What's going on here?" When I looked at what was on her iPad, I saw Peppa's face on the whole screen, with no mouth, only long eyes and maggots coming out of her eyes like tears. There wasn't blood, but that didn't matter. It's still overly creepy. I asked her where she found it, and she said it was on YouTube, which is how she pronounced YouTube. I quickly pieced together that it was somehow on YouTube Kids, but I decided to fully ask her if it was on the right YouTube, which was how I explained which YouTube she was allowed to use or not. I didn't want her using base YouTube for reasons that should be obvious. She said yes, and we had supper. Really good. Proud of my cooking. After supper, I would wait for her to go to bed and watch the video on her iPad, and I would type out what happens in full detail. Here's everything that happened. The video starts with a stock image of Peppa Pig on a gradient background. A vocoded text-to-speech voice says Peppa Pig, and a weird shadow Peppa fades in behind her and starts slowly walking towards her. White text fades into the bottom of the screen that reads "Forgotten Child" in all lowercase. Before the shadow Peppa makes contact with her, it abruptly cuts to the episode. The channel name is Peppa Fun Times Silly, and all the families inside of the house. Kevin MacLeod music playing. More specifically, Sneaky Snitch. Yes, I'm well versed in Kevin MacLeod music. It's what I grew up with on the internet, I would know. Everybody's in the kitchen. Daddy Pig cooking, Mummy Pig washing the dishes, or more accurately, standing by the dishes as they float and wash themselves, because she's not animated. And Peppa and George waiting for the eggs and bacon. Eggs and bacon. Bacon. This isn't even the weirdest part of the video, though. This was probably just a stupid mistake. Daddy Pig brings over the food and they eat it. It's very poorly animated. Their arms just go down and back up like a wheel, and the bacon is just animated to go towards their mouths, not following the arm movement. And of course, the Minecraft eating noise is there. After eating, they all step outside and stand next to each other. A stock photo of a man with a camera stands in front of them. It fades into the cameraman's view, and the photo is taken. The photo shows the whole family standing next to each other for a photo. The audio cuts out once the photo is taken. A camera shutter sound is heard, and a white flash appears when it's heard, right before the photo. The photo stays on camera with an increasingly loud, low, bassy tone. It stays on camera long enough for me to notice something off. Behind the family in the house is another Peppa Pig, looking out the window. Right as the tone becomes very audible, it immediately cuts to Peppa happily jumping in muddy puddles. Again, it's not animated. The way it's animated shows the same image of Peppa Pig and her boots moving up and moving down, without actually being animated. This time, the music is replaced with spasmatica polka playing. Peppa oinks for the whole scene, which lasts for 10 seconds, enough to jam to some Kevin MacLeod bangers. It cuts back to the house. George is cartoonishly running around at comically fast speeds. He goes to his dinosaur and picks it up. The dinosaur rotates in his hand for 5 seconds, and his voice clip of saying dinosaur is repeated over and over. He leaves and goes to him in Peppa's room. The music immediately ends when he enters. Right there, waiting for him, not facing him, is the same Peppa I saw when my little cousin handed me her iPad. Of course, without the maggots coming from her eyes. George walks up to Peppa very slowly. Footstep noises are heard, but it's not animated to show him walking. He instead just slides towards Peppa. The same music from before is fading in, except extremely slowed and quiet. The screen cuts to black and white text appears. The music cuts out. I am the real Peppa. Music cuts back in. George keeps gliding towards the weird-looking version of his sister. They forgot I was here. George is almost about to make contact with the farce. They replaced me and left me to rot. Almost there. You have no idea. Your sister has no idea. But your parents know. The music doesn't cut back in this time. George finally makes contact with the other Peppa. Right as he does, a, surprise surprise, animated jump scare of the weird Peppa crying maggots happens. Just like before, text appears all around this Peppa that reads murderers. It keeps appearing. The noise in the jump scare is many loud, low-pitched screams layered over each other. The video cuts to Mommy Pig and Daddy Pig on a black background, with the white text reading murderers on top of the middle of the image. It cuts back to George in the room, except this time, Peppa is gone. Cut back to the kitchen. Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig inside. Monkeys Spinning Monkeys is playing now. Normal Peppa walks in, smiling. Again, just animated via sliding the same images across a background. George comes down from the room, now with an edited-on frown. It ends with all of them standing in place. The music fades out, and is replaced with the extremely slowed version of spasmatic polka. This time, it isn't quiet, but at moderate volume. At the last frame, as the music goes on with all of them standing in place, something appears at the last frame, which I managed to catch. There at the very end of the video was the weird-looking Peppa, standing behind Mummy and Daddy. This video has no right to be on YouTube, kids. It's so downright disturbing that I genuinely cannot believe this was allowed to be on that app. YouTube needs to do something about this being on here. The thing that confuses me the most is that now, when I go to YouTube, YouTube Kids, Google, or even Bing, I can't find it. And that was Forgotten Child, written by dibbingsauce. Uh, review time. Now, this was an alright story. It wasn't awful. It wasn't extremely long-winded, but it was kind of flawed. I really like the idea of the video starting off, well, most of the video being completely normal, and after the whole jump scare goes down, which would be actually pretty common for a YouTube Kids video, it just goes back to normal as if nothing happened. I like that idea. I think that's really interesting. And I like how this video somehow added lore to it, unlike some content farms. That's pretty cool. However, here are the flaws that I have. First off, the Google document. It's kind of, as I said before, not extremely long-winded, but still long-winded. There's parts of it that shouldn't matter. Like, the first paragraph is completely irrelevant to the story. Oh, I made spaghetti. Okay, I don't care. I want to hear about your experience with this video, not not about your cooking. I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. Um I can understand the paragraph where she's like her daughter's coming up to her asking her about like what the video is, like a curious child would. That's good. I like that. However, um you can easily shorten these paragraphs together and form one single paragraph with it. There's very little information that you need for the introduction of this Google document, which I think you could fix in your own time. I don't really mind the grammar, as this is someone on Twitter writing this, judging by the thread at the beginning and then the Google document. Now, as for the contents, again, wasn't bad at all. Actually had me intrigued, but there's so many paragraphs going into detail on every little instance that happens before the pin drops. And it can get kind of boring in the first few, in the beginning. Like, oh, I like to listen to Kevin McLeod. I like this. I like, yeah. You don't have to state the specifics of what the music is. You can just say, "Oh, it plays some polka. Oh, it plays some happy bouncy music to masquerade the horrors that go down in this video." You didn't exactly have to explain what the exact music piece was. I'm I'm just giving you an example. There are a few others. Now, another thing. Why exactly does Peppa have no mouth? I get the maggots coming out of her eyes. They abandoned her, left her behind. But how does that make your mouth disappear? That has me wondering. Is it just there in terms of content farming? Content farms don't really care. So that's to be expected, right? Or was it written in there on accident? My final rating would have to be a 6.5. wasn't awful. It was all right, but it was kind of long and got a little boring in some parts. I respect what you were. I respect what you were going for. Dipping sauce. You did a decent job. I just feel like there could be less on the plate. But as always, this is simply my personal opinion. We all have our opinions regarding these stories. What did you think of the story? What would you have done to improve upon it? And as always, I will see you all in the next narration. I love you all. Bless.